What are the various accidents, Maggie, that might cause a child to lose hearing?
I think what was spoken about earlier on with regards to trauma to the head, anything that's going to impact especially the temporal part of the head where the ear is based, has that propensity to affect the ear and to maybe cause a hearing loss. It's something that we need to be careful about and to protect as much as we can. That's probably why we have a big skull to cover the head and to cover the brain and to cover that part of the ear. And if that part is affected, usually a hearing loss will ensue from there.
Maggie, in the first year, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6, and 6 to a year, how does babies' language develop? How do they communicate?
At the very beginning stages, like 0 to 3 months, it's mostly alertness and awareness of the presence of others in the room. So the child would look and follow the people around with their eyes. That kind of gives us a feeling that the child is aware of the other person and is looking to see what's interesting. And that is why we encourage, usually for small children in their rooms, to have a lot of activity, toys, things that will encourage them to look and to search for something interesting.
And sort of 6 months to a year?
Okay. Much more an interest as they become more physically mobile and able to move their head. They would turn if somebody comes into the room. That gives us an idea that they've heard somebody come in. They're aware of the presence of another person. They become aware of their own things, that things that we give them regularly. So they would be happy and smile if we hand them a bottle. That kind of thing is an interaction that is beginning to develop between the caregiver and the child. But for a child, it's really playing around with the vocal mechanism. And so a child would make all kinds of sounds, some of which will not be available in the language that they will subsequently speak. But they are experimenting with use of their lips, their tongue, and that makes sounds that we would interpret for them.
Are there any universal sounds that we could be looking for in this first 6-month period? I mean, obviously we know about ma and da, and normally by 6 months we're getting those. But other sounds where you'd go, yes, that is a hungry baby, an angry baby.
I think from the caregiver and the child, through their interaction, they're able to tune in and to work out the system for themselves. I wouldn't say it's universal for all children, but definitely from the interaction and playing around with the child, you would tune into their way of communicating with you.
Is there a universal first word, or is it different for every child?
Different for each child, but usually we would interpret mama and dada because they're the simplest sounds to make for the child, and so they seem to occur earlier. There may have been other sounds before, but because we're not looking for them, we'd miss them. But mama we definitely don't miss, or dada we don't miss.
Especially when mama is the last sound after dada and